What's going on YouTube? This is ParkerLad88 coming at you with another video. And in this video, guys, we have another installment of Defense Against the Grid. And in this episode, we will be covering how to fight against Dragon Armor Trini. So, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so the first thing that we must talk about when we talk about how to fight against a character is understanding what type of character that character is. Trini is supposed to be the essential grappler of the game, mostly because of this. She's the only character in the game that actually has what is referred to as a command grab. Now, for those of you who are new to fighting games, you might wonder to yourselves, what exactly is a command grab? Like, what does that term mean? So a command grab is basically a special move where, you know, you do a directional input and an attack button to naturally get a special move, but you get a grab out of it. Command grabs are special when you compare them to regular grabs because in some cases not only do they have more priority over normal moves, but on top of that you can't tech them or try to break the grab like you would a normal grab. I will actually demonstrate right here. So if we have Trini actually do a regular grab, this is what you get, right? So we're going to go ahead and save that. You see that you can actually tech a regular grab. Any moment now. Now, let's actually try this with a command grab. So, I'll try to tech the grab. And as you guys can plainly see, I attempted to tech the grab in that situation, and I was not able to break the grab. So that is what makes command grabs special. So outside of that, Trini actually has a couple of other tools at her disposal, which we'll talk about. In review, we also have the forward special, which is her body lunge. Her body lunge is very deceptive because, as you guys can see, it looks very similar to her command grab, right? It's almost indistinguishable. And as an added property of the body lunge, you actually can't block the body lunge when you're in the air. So that makes that a little bit tricky to deal with. It's kind of like a high risk, high reward thing to really kind of make your opponent guess in that situation since they're so deceptive. So that's another thing that Trini has. In addition to those strings, Trini actually has a really good normal in the way of her standing light just because of the amount of range that it covers and how quick that it comes out. And then she also has her standing heavy, which of course has armor to it. Those are like the big things. I've described Trini in the past as a three-layered offensive character, which kind of starts around getting the grab first, because when you attempt to wake up into the grab, you have to deal with other things such as the fact that she might try and poke you out with like a light normal, she might go for like her armored heavy, or she might go for another command grab, or something like that. So that's basically the style of character that Trini is. Now, you might be asking yourselves, how do I combat a command grab if I can't tech the grab, and if I can't block the grab, what do I do? And one of the first steps in order to defending against a grappler, whenever they do a command grab, you jump straight up. So, we'll have Trini do the command grab here. And then we will have her play it back. And as you guys can see, I can jump out of that, which leads to big punish opportunities just because of how much recovery is on the grab. So that's the first thing that you want to keep in mind when fighting against grappler-style characters like Trini. Now, the other thing that you might be thinking is, well, Parker Lad, let's say that she goes for the body lunge. If they're so indistinguishable from each other, how am I supposed to know? And, like, you know, a semi-decent to good Trini player, what they're going to attempt to do is they know that you fear the command grab more than the body lunge, because while the body lunge does get you damage, when you actually do the command grab with Trini, you actually do at the very least get a small follow-up with her beam, and then you can go into super for some pretty good damage, right? So what am I supposed to do in that situation? Well, here's the thing that I actually never noticed about Trini until a little while ago. While in terms of the actual things, they're indistinguishable from a visual standpoint, unless you're paying really close attention. Listen. You see what that sounds like? Now compare that to the body lunge. They sound very different. I never noticed this before, but as opposed to trying to look visually at what Trini looks like, listen for the sound. If you hear this sound, like if you hear that sound, you know that she's going to go for the command grab. Now, the fact that they actually let it so you can actually cancel her command grab now means that this is a little bit trickier to deal with, but at least you know what to look out for. You don't have to worry about, like, you know, not being able to jump in order to defend yourself, you know, in fear of the body lunge or something like that. Or if you hear the body lunge noise, which is the giant, like, jet engine whoosh, that thing right there, right? Then you know how to defend yourself. So that is the big thing. If you guys can listen for that sound, then you have a better idea of how to combat Trini when you're fishing for hits and just trying to fight against her. Now, the other thing that I do want to talk about with her command grab is the fact that because her command grab actually has startup, you can stuff her out of it in a number of ways. If you were within this neutral starting position right about here and you have a move that can reach Trini when she's charging up for her grab, then you can actually punish her, as you guys can see right there. Now, I wasn't close enough to try and go for a grab in that situation, but you guys get the idea. You can hit her out of the startup of it with a number of different things. But as you can see, you can stuff her out of it in a number of ways. So keep that in mind as well. The more that you're playing against Trinis, because one thing that this is very common for grapplers, it's a technique called tick grabbing, which is what your opponent will do is they'll throw out a light move, right, that has very little recovery on it. They're not intending to combo you. You'll block the move, and because the block's done on lights, you know, proportionately so, is very light compared because of how quick the move is, what they'll do is they'll cancel the light into the command grab, right? So one thing when you get used to looking for this, you can actually punish her for doing it. So let's do a demonstration. So we play that back, as you guys can see right there. And you can do that with a number of things. It's probably easier for a character like Kimmy or something, or really any character who has a more long-range normal, but if we play it back, as you guys can see, you can just stuff her out of it. So as you guys are getting used to your Trini matchup, just keep those things in mind. So once again, in review, if you're combating a command grab character, and this is pretty much in any fighting video game across the board, you know, barring some exceptions, the general rule is for command grabs, you can jump out of command grabs by jumping straight up, jumping back, jumping forward, something like that, and then punishing them on your way down. And then for Trini specifically, make sure that you are listening for the difference between her body lunge and the difference between her command grab to help give you a hint as to how you're supposed to defend. And then the last thing, of course, is because she has startup on her command grab, make sure you're looking for the startup animation so that you can stuff her out of it with a normal. And I think those techniques will help you better out in your guys' Trini matchup. So guys, that'll do it for this video on Defense Against the Grid featuring Trini. Let me know what you guys think about it, and I'll be back to you later with future videos. Also, be sure to let me know of any other characters who I can take a look at and maybe find some techniques of how to combat against that character for you guys. And that'll do it for me. This is Parker Ladd. I will see you guys next time.